Let's do it.
Right then, welcome to a brand new podcast. Welcome, boys. Welcome.
No, lads.
Welcome. We are going to be called the Game of Two Half podcast. Firstly, I am Jamie. I support Chelsea and I have done really my whole life. Through my dad's side, I am also partly Scottish, and via that, I do support Rangers. But I am mainly Chelsea, and hopefully this podcast will hopefully give you an insight on what's happening with the transfers, results, fixtures, managerial scenarios, all football know-how. And we're pretty smart guys, and hopefully we can teach you and entertain you at the same time.
Right, I am Federico. I'm an AC Milan fan myself, and that's through my mum, who's Italian. So yeah, I've been an AC Milan fan my whole life. Huge fan of them. Yeah.
Nice one. I'm Sam Singer. Arsenal born and bred. Been to many away games, many home games. Unfortunately, it's been a bit of a difficult time for us recently. Ever since I was born in 2004, we haven't actually won a Premier League. So my dad is starting to think there's a bit of a curse going on in that year. I've been to many places. I've been to Baku. That was a lovely city, by the way. A really bad end result in the end, and that I did shed a couple tears. I've just been a newly developed AC Milan fan. There you go, pal.
There you go. That's what we like to hear.
We're doing really well this season. Unfortunately, we have dropped into second now, but big game next weekend, Inter. We will get onto that later. So we're really happy to be starting this. We've put a lot of hard work recently, and should we get into it? Hope you enjoy. What more can we say?
Alright, I think we should start off with Premier League results and thoughts.
It's been a big weekend.
So,
Very interesting.
Really good.
Go on,
weekend.
Jamie, let's see what you have to say about this one.
I mean, just to start off, I think we all could know, and we'll say that this season has been so just interesting and weird. This whole COVID scenario is, meant every game is just up for, it's literally, I can go and watch Burnley against West Ham and actually really enjoy it because, it's actually entertaining because anything can happen. It's so unpredictable. I think starting off 12:30, Liverpool-Leicester. What a game at the King Power. Certainly a lot of talking points, I think, to start.
A really good game. Probably one of the best of the weekend, including the City game. I was really surprised. I thought, Liverpool, a bit of a slump going on with them. Lost to Burnley at home, lost to Southampton recently, lost to Brighton, lost to City recently as well. They've got players who are struggling, and that run of form just completely continued again. I thought Salah, when he scored, they could have run away with it, but Leicester showed a lot of dedication and resilience. Come back from 1-0 down against the champions.
Really
Madison, Vardy, Kabak stepping up as well in there as well, and so did Alisson again. Confidence that does not actually justify the fact that he's a brilliant goalkeeper still. But I was really enjoying the game, Fed.
Yeah, really impressive performance from Leicester to come back from 1 goal down. Harvey Barnes, great game for him.
Harvey Barnes.
Harvey Barnes.
Whistle winner. No, it was actually 3-1.
Yeah. So anyway, but really convincing win from Leicester. They were the better team, and Alisson having another shocker. I don't know what's happened to him recently. But hopefully he can fix up on that. And Ozan Kabak, the new signing, came in the January window. He had his debut. A lot of people are blaming him for the mistake, but I don't actually think it was him.
I don't think it was his fault.
I think it was all Alisson.
But I think his signing was certainly controversial because I think Paul Merson mentioned it on Sky Sports that Schalke currently are bottom of the Bundesliga, not a very competitive league. And if you are last, that means you do concede quite a lot of goals. Obviously, he is still young. He's got a big future ahead of him. Obviously, last year got a future star in FIFA. Nice card definitely used him a few times. But I don't think that mistake was his. But I must say, I really thought Liverpool would bounce back. I thought certainly the experience in the players they had on the pitch and Klopp's experience of management was certainly. I thought would have bounced back from that, tough run of form, as Sam mentioned. But I thought the first half was pretty dry from both teams. No one really tried to go for goal. No one was clinical. No one was direct enough. I thought it was, sideways football.
Yeah.
I guess, but at the minute they brought on Thiago.
Let's talk a little bit about him. I think it's been quite underwhelming actually.
It has been.
Considering the player he's looked to be.
I think a lot of people, when a player comes from Spanish league, Italian league, French league, they always go, they can't do it in the Prem. And I think that's something that's been said a lot, just specifically about Thiago at Liverpool. You have players that can come from major leagues in Spain and people, and they do really well. But at the moment, Thiago's really struggling. And last season, I mean, he was contender for Team of the Year on FIFA.
Really
he really good player. And he's an enjoyable player to watch. And it's unfortunate that he's struggling here because I think everyone wanted to see his brilliance. Jay, what do you think
I mean, certainly for me, I was at the game last year when Bayern beat us 3-0. In the Champions League first leg, and all the hype was about Kimmich in the midfield, and everyone was just getting carried away about how good he was. But I remember from that night, I saw Thiago, and in my opinion, at the time, he was the best midfielder in the world. I mean, the skillful, both feet passing, the dribbling, the tackling. Tackling surprised me a lot. However, since he's touched down in Liverpool, apart from the thumbs up he makes every time he gives the ball away, I've not seen enough from him yet.
Yeah, well, there's still things to come.
I think
I think we're gonna have to pull out the famous saying, "Give him time" for this one, because
I think So I mean, really good game. See if Liverpool can bounce back. Obviously, we'll jump into the managerial scenario they have over there with Klopp. Brilliant manager. Obviously, take nothing away from him.
Yeah.
Next game, Burnley Palace. I mean, 3 goals away for Burnley.
3-0 win
Matthew
for Burnley.
Lowton, what a finish! I mean, we don't have to go too much into that game. Sign of things to come from Burnley. They've had some big results recently, haven't they?
Yeah, they have.
This
playing
one's
Fulham
big.
next, and
Sean Dyche's gravel.
Yeah. he's doing really well.
He's doing well. I love it.
gravel.
But on the other hand, Roy Hodgson, he's under the cosh now, and his job might be at risk.
He's been at Palace for a long time, and I think Palace are always that team where you don't see them doing anything in the league in terms of Europa League places. But you don't see them into relegation.
I think it's the same for both teams, because if you're looking at Burnley, Sean Dyche is put in place to keep them up every year.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess you could argue from the outsider, it's boring, it's entertaining, but actually, he does so well there. I mean, we'll give him a stick every now and then for being too boring. Playing a back five against Liverpool and City, but ultimately they get the results.
It's effective.
They stay up in the league.
Yeah.
And however, for Roy Hodgson, Palace certainly will not be taking 14th in the league at this minute. They certainly want to be progressing higher than that.
Not with their fans.
Nor the fans.
They've had some impressive individual performances. I think Ebere Eze.
Ebere's a really good player.
Really good player. He's looked so comfortable on the ball, and adapted to the Premier League really well.
I think it's a really good win for Burnley. I think one of the going into this weekend, one of the games that highlighted out of everyone was City Spurs, and we got a game kind of as expected. City, what they can do at the Etihad is ridiculous.
Yeah.
İlkay Gundogan has literally converted into one of the best players, one of the best centre defenders at the moment. And the best thing about Gundogan is that he's kind of got everything in him now. Like, he's got his dribbling, he's
everything.
got his passing.
Most complete player in the Prem right now.
He's got his shooting as well, left foot, right foot.
I think that's the thing with the Pep rotation. You'll get so obviously İlkay Gundogan came from Dortmund a couple of years back. Really good player, and he showed that, but he hasn't really had a chance to show that in the Prem fully and maintain a starting spot in the City side. Yeah. So I think now with all those injuries that Man City have, I think he's burst onto the scene and he's grabbed the chance with 2 hands, and really.
Yeah, I think if we're looking at the game, I'm thinking about what Mourinho and Pep do to each other, and I think certainly City, obviously were in first place and comfortably, obviously at home. But Spurs did beat them at home.
They did.
At White Hart Lane 2-0, and it was a game where City dominated throughout. But Spurs had 2 counters and scored them. So I don't feel like with the Mourinho team and Spurs at the minute, it's hard to tell who deserves to win the game. I think certainly in the first half, Kane. Put your foot down, mate. Sorry. I think Kane in the first half from a free kick. He hit the crossbar and post at the ankle. It's a great free kick, by the way. And they had several counters that kind of didn't lead to anything major. And then the minute City got a penalty and finally scored it, by the way, their draw pens.
I would have thought Edison was going to take it.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I saw him come up to the halfway line for a bit.
Imagine that, you've got him in your fantasy team and goalkeeper gets a goal.
It would be nice.
Good game.
Good game, but I think Spurs have got a lot more to prove than that. I mean, if we look at them
on a really shocking run of form.
Yeah.
What are your guys' thoughts on the Mourinho style of play?
I think it's that typical, sit back, let's go 1-0 up, we're dropping back.
Yeah.
We'll hit them on the counter. Literally happened.
Yeah.
His game plan, I don't think it's worked as much as it did against Arsenal. Literally proved
that was amazing.
It was 2-0, they get their goal through some brilliant finish. They drop back, we can't do anything to them. We commit players, bang, up the field.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
certainly from my experience with Mourinho, I haven't got a bad word to say about him. I mean,
won it all at
Chelsea. 3 Premier Leagues, FA Cups, League Cups. I haven't got bad to say about it. Honestly, there's nothing bad I have to say about him. But I think with this current Tottenham team, I mean, as you mentioned, go 1-0 up and just see the game out. It doesn't always work. Certainly they had Wolves away and Palace away, just 2 games in the same week they had. That they were winning 1-0 inside. I mean, very early on. Kane scored, and then Ndombele scored at Wolves.
Yeah. And
they sat back for 70 odd minutes, and then unfortunately that came to bite them back, and both games resulted in a draw. And slowly, Spurs were ultimately by stats in a title race.
Also, I think it's a really unattractive style of football. It's if you're a Spurs fan, I feel bad for you having to sit through a whole 90 minutes of sitting back.
They hate Mourinho at Tottenham in the minute.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's a really good game. Again, we'll see what happens with Mourinho. See if they can start picking up results. They need to do it quickly. Otherwise, as we know, could end up pretty badly.
Top 4 doesn't seem.
Top 4, they've got, they have the Europa League. They can do stuff in there. But we got next game is Brighton Villa. Don't need to speak much more about that. Villa we don't need to speak much more. About,
0-0.
It was a good first half, I must say, because I think certainly what was expected was Villa to come out of the blocks. With their talent they have going forward. With Watkins, Grealish, McGinn. I thought certainly they would dominate and ultimately take points off what should be a game they need to take points off to go and progress, for the European places. However, it was, that first 45 minutes was just so against it. Martinez made about 9-10 saves.
Brilliant keeper.
It was
done
unreal.
really well.
We can talk about Martinez.
We'll get on to that.
Brighton,
later,
just outplayed Villa. Villa came out better in the second half, but still, I thought it was strange. I think this Villa team so far have been very up and down. They obviously, they beat Arsenal last week, but then before that they lost to West Ham, and I think you never really know. Again, that shows a comparison to how this year's going. Every team is so unreliable. 1 week win, great performance, next week a horror, and it's just
and what positive impact those signings they've have had, the ones that
They've
faded
done a lot
in the summer.
Superb for that.
Yeah, Ollie Watkins been bagging in goals left, right, and centre.
Matty Cash at right back
really
is
reliable.
One of the best right backs this season.
Yeah.
Emi Martinez obviously has been
Keeper.
sort of unstoppable.
Very sad to let him go, obviously.
As an Arsenal fan, would you have preferred to see Leno go or?
It's a difficult debate because
you have to say Leno.
You have to say Leno, you do, because in the end, Leno is one of the best goalkeepers in the league, whether you like it or not. He's incredible, and obviously Martinez, he's at Villa. He did do it at Arsenal. He had a superb end to the season last year. I think it's a really interesting debate between the two keepers. I think they're both excellent, but I think in the end you have to go with Leno in terms of experience, in terms of just overall ability. I think it is.
Fair enough.
I think it is just better, but I think it's a tough one, and there's absolutely no doubt in saying that Martinez has been a brilliant keeper.
And that 20 million they paid for him, it seems like a bargain.
So moving to Sunday.
Wolverhampton won.
Actually, it was Wolverhampton.
So it was Southampton v Wolves, and Wolves got a 2-1 win. Do you want to touch on that?
It was almost a. It's fine. It was almost a replay from the FA Cup.
Boys.
Just behind it.
Is it still going?
Yeah, it almost ruined the game at Molineux in the FA Cup the week beforehand. But it was, it's tough right now because both teams are very similar scenarios in the Prem. Wolves obviously, suffering in the injury of Raul Jimenez, who was obviously, their best player.
Yeah,
their main source of goals.
By far.
And past 2-3 years, Wolves have been, in the top 7, top 8, really, really pressing for the European spaces. I mean, last year they were in it right to the very end, and I think it's a surprise to see how badly they're doing. But I mean, I still think they'll bounce back.
Yeah,
They obviously brought in Fabio Silva as a backup for Jimenez during the summer for obviously £40 million, and it's tough because he's 18 years of age, starting now because obviously not expected.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on him, obviously,
and he hasn't really done anything much yet. But listen, he has received some death threats and some really hateful messages online, and for that, which is that there's no place for that in football.
Exactly.
But I think during January they brought in a guy from Real Sociedad, or Mum if you're a feminist. Got to think. Got to help you both out.
William Jose.
Came from Real Sociedad.
Yeah. Was linked with Spurs actually the year before.
He had a few links, and he's
looking good.
He's not looking too bad.
He's very powerful. I mean,
I feel like it's they put a lot of pressure on Fabio Silva. A young lad, 18 years of age, 40 million price tag.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of expectations with that. So obviously he hasn't really burst onto the scene, but he's there. I give him time.
Yeah, I think the Portugal national team doing well this season.
Yeah, but I think certainly again, if we're looking at Southampton, they were first in November, and they
Stop the count.
But not even then. They were still in there and thereabouts about 4 weeks ago, and obviously they have had a pretty tough last 6 matches. They've lost 6 on the bounce now.
Yeah.
Including a 9-0 defeat, some sending off, some injuries, and really, Ralph Hasenhüttl currently at the minute is in the mud. They are playing us next weekend, and I think they have to bounce
Southampton will appreciate everything he's done for the club, and they'll be hesitant if they want to fire him. I don't think that discussion's actually come through.
Not yet.
I think.
But I again think it's just maybe a bad run of form, and I think they'll definitely bounce back. Yeah.
Yeah. Next game, West Brom v Man United. Really good game.
Great game.
Again, Bruno with a brilliant goal. But we all think, or I think at least, that Bruno is the type of player. Take nothing away from him. I thought he was one of the worst on the pitch for United on Sunday, except from scoring the goal, which probably got him like an 8.5 rating on Sky. So I think whoever watched that game would have realised that Bruno wasn't at his best. I think whoever didn't watch that game, who watched the highlights, would have been like, Bruno's the best player in the world at the moment. So I think it's an interesting one because I think Bruno is superb. Take nothing away from him. He's one of the best in the league right now. But is he overhyped? I don't think so. Is he kind of overappreciated? Maybe is the word you think.
I don't think. I think Bruno, take nothing away from him. He's just a wonderful player to watch.
Completely.
His numbers that he's put up are incredible.
Stats are incredible.
And
his stats are ridiculous.
I think there's that.
His pens are brilliant as well.
There's that. The table since he's come into United, and I think United are top, so that just shows the sort of effect he's had, and bringing out that team spirit in Man United.
If we're looking the way that pundits have thought about this, they've Carragher said that Man U almost couldn't believe that they were title contenders.
Yeah,
I honestly don't agree with that, because obviously by nature and by placings in the league, like Chelsea back in December had to believe they were title contenders. So had to Spurs, so have to Leicester now, and so had to Southampton. You can't not believe you are a title contender if you're first place at the time. And
I have a question for you, Jamie.
Of course you can.
Do you think what's lacking at Man United in terms of making that final reach? Do you think it's the manager? Do you think it's their kind of stamina? Like they get to a certain point and fade away. What do you think that's down to? Because it seems like Man United were top. Then results started to come in. I can't remember very well. They drew to Arsenal. They're dropping points there. But do you think it's a lack of do you think if, let's say, a manager, because I think Man United have the players. I think their players are superb. I think Rashford's brilliant. Fernandes.
I think they're lacking a centre back though.
I think there are positions, but do you think someone like Pep Guardiola came to Man United, a tactical magician, Do you think he would? I know. I'm just saying. If he came to United, do you think they could win the league? Do you think it's the fault of Ole, who's not really tactically experienced, although he's got the players? Do you think Man United have the players and don't have the manager, or do you think it's just a fact of that they're just not good enough as a team?
I think we can't escape the fact that Ole was about to get sacked 2 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of just shows how the Prem has gone. It's been a roller coaster of emotions for every single team. I remember United were near the drop zone, and who would have thought they would have been in the title race now? So, I mean...
Yeah, again, I go back to the point where, I mean, they spent 6 weeks on an unbeaten form of pure grinding out results. And when I mean grinding out results, I mean it was 1-0, 2-1, I mean 3-2 the comebacks they had against, West Ham, Southampton away. But it was just pure grinding out the results. Not playing the most pretty, elegant football by any means, but getting points on the board. And they found themselves first at Christmas. They thought they won the league then, but unfortunately a league title isn't any.
Yeah. I think if you
good at Christmas.
If you guys do notice, we are going quite in depth on all these games. We won't obviously in the future. I think we all want to share our opinions on different teams in the league, kind of what we all think about them. What he thinks of Liverpool, what he thinks of Leicester. I think we're kind of just we will obviously go that in depth next time. We just kind of want to share our opinion about how we see every team in the league. But
and thoughts on West Brom? I think we should touch on them.
Yeah,
tough situation. Do you think Allardyce was the right man for the job?
No, I don't. I think Stavin was really unfairly sacked. Stavin got sacked after City away, getting a point there.
Yeah.
Who else has done that this season? No one.
Mm-hmm.
And Allardyce again, but he got a point at Anfield. So is it does it work out that way? A joy backstage. 1-0. Yeah, I think it's like West Brom. So far this season, West Brom have drawn against United away. I mean, at home, sorry. Away, should have beaten them. No idea. I mean, VAR just won that game for United completely. Chelsea away. I mean, it's a 3-3 draw. They were winning 3-0 at half time.
They were 3-0 up.
Spurs at home. Harry Kane scored a very, very late goal. And I really was upset because I already felt that game was in the balance throughout the 90 and it deserved to be a draw. City away, point. Liverpool away, a point. From the top 6, they have played outstandingly. Yeah. However, if you are in a relegation battle, the top 6 games should be nothing more than right, let's stay back behind the ball and fight for a point.
Yeah.
They need to be playing Sheffield, Fulham, Brighton, Burnley and taking points off those games, and they have failed to do that, which is going to shoot yourself in the foot.
It's so critical in the Premier League. You have to pick up points against small teams.
Definitely.
It comes against Arsenal, Chelsea.
That's good enough.
If you want to win a Premier League, if you want to make a top 4, you have to beat the small teams.
Exactly.
And if you don't do that, you're not going to succeed.
Yeah, the thing is, if you're playing the small teams, like your Burnleys, like your Arsenals, you need to make sure you take the points off them. Be very defensive.
And if we're talking relegation battle,
I think we can get into that. Probably.
We'll talk, actually, yeah.
I think Sheffield and West Brom are gone.
Sheffield and West Brom, Fulham have a chance.
I think Fulham.
I think Fulham. I mean, obviously, even though I support Chelsea, I love the derbies, and I really, really hope that Fulham do beat Brighton. I mean, in that race, I think Burnley will escape it because Burnley, I mean, they always do. I think Brighton.
I love football. But I hate Burnley.
In between us. But I think with Burnley, I think they'll. Honestly, I don't think they're going down at the minute. But I think with Brighton, they had a good start this year. Not by results though, but by performances. They had Chelsea and both Man United at home, and they both played very well in those games. But they took nothing from the games, and I think the team so far. They have not taken the points in the crucial games. Sheffield came to the Amex, had 10 men throughout the whole game, and still only got a point from that game after a last-minute equaliser from Welbeck.
Sheffield United beat Man United.
Yeah.
It's a weird season.
It's a weird season.
And I obviously I kind of want it over, and I want fans back in grounds. But in the meantime, I think it's good fun to watch because it means every game's good fun to watch. But I think if you're supporting a team like a Palace, I mean it's got to be tough for you guys.
It's got to be tough. It's
got to be tough.
But then you support a team like I'm not putting bias against myself. You support a team like Arsenal, and you've got expectations of top 4
Yeah,
every season.
yeah, exactly.
You got to think theoretically. Is it more painful to be a Spurs fan or an Arsenal fan during these times, or is it more painful to be a Burnley fan when you just get 14?
I think speaking about Arsenal, we'll move on to your team, the beloved Arsenal.
The beloved Arsenal.
Arsenal v
Big
Leeds 4-2 win.
Big win.
That's a really good win.
I was really nervous for that one because
Yeah.
you know Bielsa. Two Leeds teams shows up. You get the Bielsa that plays like Barcelona or Real Madrid.
Or you get the Bielsa that's sort of mediocre.
Mediocre.
Yeah.
And when I saw him come in to the stadium and look at our
Yeah, that was
team,
interesting.
A bit strange. And
Yeah.
that actually really struck nerves into my body because I thought he had some master plan in his head just developed it. But luckily we managed to score 3 goals in the first half, and at that point I was like, my Valentine's Day secure. I don't have a go at the moment, but I do have Aubameyang is all I'm saying. Three goals for him.
For him to come back after everything that's happened.
Everything that happened, you know, thing with his
family,
with his mum is obviously very, very tragic. But he really bounced back from it, and it just
really
proves. And I've said this to everyone. I've texted everyone. Form is temporary. Class is permanent.
There you go.
There you go. That is it. And I think, and Jamie will probably sit here being like Giroud is better.
I would never say that. I would never say that.
Eddie Nketiah is better than Olivier Giroud. It's not true.
No.
But I was really happy with it, and I think it. Yeah. And I think it proves to the Arsenal fans about like just kind of like how quickly the season can change us. We would what? Do you want to point with you about 2 weeks ago? Now we're 8 points behind you. It's because we lost to Wolves, I lost to who is it? Villa. That just puts us back, and Wolves, and then the loss of 2 points against United, and it really just kind of stuns me to think how we are in this position at 10th in the Premier League as a team with the legacy of Arsenal, who have so much success over the years. I still obviously back Arteta, I still back the players, and I think we have so many really, really good players coming up, which is why I think we have a good opportunity to do something against City this weekend and go far in the Europa League. Players like Bukayo Saka, like Emile Smith-Rowe, Odegaard's coming in, Aubameyang's coming back, Lacazette's in there too. You talk about the squad, Martinelli's in there as an attacking option. We've got really good squad depth, and it just annoys me because when I look back at this season, I'm going to look at the positives, like the Leeds result, beating Chelsea, beating United away. There was a period over November where we didn't score a goal.
I think there were so many bright spots in that Arsenal side. You talked about Saka, Smith-Rowe, and I think just Arteta backing those players has proved it's proved really good because now they've picked up some important points for Chelsea, v Leeds, so they'll look back on that and think, okay, that was great, but then you go back to that point where they've dropped points against the Wolves. Take nothing away from them, but
I've got a point about both teams there. Arsenal, if we're thinking pre-2021, end of 2020, and late November and early December, that was, obviously, the results are bad, but I think performance-wise, the worst I've seen Arsenal, for a long, long time, and bearing in mind that they are considered a top 6 team. They were playing really poorly. Really poorly. And it almost felt like that Boxing Day game against Chelsea was just you know what, we have nothing to lose and let's give everything on the pitch, and unfortunately they did that, and I think from then they grinded out a result against Brighton, even that with a poor performance, then got West Brom away, and I think those 2 fixtures, a result, gave them something to build upon, and again Arteta was again another manager who was about to get sacked. From out of nowhere, Arteta. I think even though they had Wolves, Villa that went not in their way for the results, I think the way that Arsenal were playing was so much better than what's been recently. I think Arteta's got the players set up correctly and the right tactics, but and then vice versa. If you're looking at tactics, Bielsa, again, this is almost. If I was sitting right now, paper and English GCSE, I could just compare and contrast and use a simile that Leeds are like the season so far. The up and down nature of it. It is so.
I think also when you look at Leeds, sorry for interrupting you. I think look at Leeds, and someone said this. I can't remember if it was a pundit, but it's like if you wanted to show someone football, someone who's never watched football, and he's like, show me a team in this league. I showed him Leeds. Like
Every
what
single
they play is
pundit has been absolutely pro Leeds and how they play football.
you've got to come back to the question. It's their first season back in the Prem
Yeah,
after 20 odd years, so even they're getting some results. Obviously, you said they're an up and down team right now, but maybe if we're looking in the future, they can solidify a mid-table place and maybe crawl up the table over time. But it's early days, and Bielsa, they've got such a good coach and they're recruiting really well. I think
it's difficult because all the pundits say whether Leeds are the most fun to watch team in the Prem, whether they lose or win 5-0. It can be 5-0 win or loss. And I think if I was a Leeds fan, I would rather. I mean, it's tough to say because if you are a true football fan and a true Leeds fan, you will want pure, just pure grinding out results and not ever having the embarrassment of losing 5-0 to these teams, but actually having. I think Leeds have scored the most last season, but also conceded the most.
But they've conceded the most. Yeah, I saw that.
It's ridiculous that.
And they turned up against Leicester. From out of nothing after some bad form, and then they play Arsenal the week later, and then they again have a stinker.
I think that there are so many positives.
It's so tough to look at.
There are so many positives you can take out of that Leeds side. They've got some great talents. Bamford, who would have thought? Would have burst onto the scene like he has already. He's actually scored. He scored more goals in the Premier League so far than he did in the Championship last season. So that just shows the player he actually can be, and he's fulfilling that talent. Obviously, ex-Chelsea academy player, and also they brought in really well Rodrigo. Rafinha, I think, has been a really good player. Is a really standout player for me. Rafinha. Do you want to talk about him?
On the Rodrigo point, I'll say first of all, I was at the game when Chelsea played Valencia at the Bridge last year, early in September, and I honestly could have watched that Rodrigo player and thought he could fit in any team in the world, just from watching 90 minutes of football there.
Yeah.
And I thought, right, he got his move, to the Prem in the summer, 25 million euros or pounds, whatever it was. I thought, right, great signing for him. But when you look at his game time, his lack of goals, some goals, a couple injuries, I must say, a few suspensions. But if you're looking at what I would have thought he would have done, it's been a really, actually, I think underrated flop. I guess it's a bit unfair to call him a flop just yet because he hasn't really had his chance yet because, honestly, I thought, right, we'll come in from Valencia, start over Bamford, get that number 9 role at Leeds and be a card veteran for them. But it hasn't turned out that way just yet.
He's a good number 9. I think on his day, he's really good. Next game, anyway. We should probably move on quickly because Jamie probably has a lot of stuff to talk about with Chelsea.
Fulham v Everton.
Fulham v Everton. Josh Maja, absolute hero.
Coming on from
how's my firstborn children. Really good player. Yeah, he literally could.
It looks a really positive signing. Obviously, Sunderland till I die. Yeah. Viewers would have found that one a little bit emotional.
We saw you crying on the Netflix.
Yeah. We saw you cry on the telly at Netflix. Because he obviously started off at Sunderland through the academy there, and then went to Bordeaux. Again, a big league, the League One.
League One.
Or League 1.
The Uber Eats League.
League 1 Uber Eats now. It's been sponsored, which is around.
Do you think that I think we everyone was like Josh Maja next big thing. I kind of saw it brilliant positioning. They were two tapping. My sister could have scored them if she wanted to.
And she has no legs.
And she actually has no arms, Jamie. And no legs. In fact.
But Josh Maja, that's a good
player. So Jamie, right? This is where you probably want to come in. And honestly, should we have a little toilet break, or because we might be sitting here for a while here? Should we leave? Because
I think we should just.
Let's go straight into the Champions League. We got Chelsea, Newcastle, Timo Werner finally getting on the goal street.
How does that feel for you?
The ball didn't actually hit the net, by the way, guys. tries. It didn't, but it went over the line. That counts as a goal.
Listen, I say you just spill the beans.
You know what, Jamie? Keep it as short as you can here.
Short and concise.
There's so much about Chelsea.
I'm going to go back to London.
If I give a quick summary of our overview season so far, to begin with, we dropped way too many points early doors. Southampton at home, West Brom away. I can name you about 3 or 4 more games. We just should have picked up more points. But even though, despite that, we were first place on December 4th after the Leeds game. And I remember going upstairs and I'm just singing, the songs, and I was just thinking, right, we are first in the league. Lampard is an incredible manager. We have an incredible squad. Ziyech is unreal. Werner is unreal. Just so many great signings. Our keeper hadn't conceded in about 7 games. However,
That was brilliant.
we did have Everton, Wolves, West Ham we won, Arsenal, City, Villa, where we hit a massive rough patch. And when I say rough patch,
I mean, Frank on.
we sacked Frank Lampard.
Not funny. In any way.
It was a tough day.
Do you have that sense of regret that happened, or do you think?
Well, now you're looking
Unfortunately, I'm not the owner of Chelsea, so I didn't have any regret behind it.
So Jamie, I think in a later session you can definitely dive into your thoughts on Lampard, and I think you have a lot to say about it. We probably maybe should save that as we want to jump into different topics, but Tuchel, what are you seeing from him? Are you saying he's being fair with his team selection? Do you think he's the right man for the job? Obviously, he hasn't played a big. Actually, no, I say that he's played Spurs, but not big side. Yeah. What do you think about Tuchel? You think he's the right man for the job?
Every single player deserves a second chance on Tuchel. No matter if you've been Alonso.
No matter if you've driven a car into a wall.
If you're Jorginho, if you're Kepa, if you're Emerson, you all deserve your second chance. If you're Rudiger and stuff like that, you all deserve your second chance. What's now becoming evident, certainly, is last night we didn't have any injuries in the entire squad for the first time, I think, all season. When you look at the players we have to put out on the pitch and the bench, we probably have got one of the best squads on paper in the world. You look at the bench last night, our bench last night, not even starting, our bench. Edouard Mendy, Chilwell, Zuma, Reece James, Kante, Havertz, Pulisic, Ziyech and Giroud and Emerson. Those players, those players on the bench are better than most first teams in the Premier League and in Europe.
Yeah.
Just the bench.
Yeah.
And I think, listen, not Frank's fault, but the club made a big error. Big errors, plural, in January and last summer. They had to go and put out Alonso on loan. Alonso's time was finished. Jorginho probably should have been sold when Sarri was still at the job at Juve because he wanted them badly, and that could have been money in hand for pretty. I know, me and Jorginho don't get on like a house on fire. We basically have our clashes, and I think he's just the most just 5-yard pass player in the league. Can't make a tackle, no pace, and it's just pointless. When you have Kante to play, instead of him, it's just pointless. But as for Liqueta, again, he's been coming to a back 5. I was screaming at Frank for not playing a back 5 half the time at his job towards the end of his career at Chelsea. We're now playing a back 5, and I don't like it because our defence is nowhere near as good as our attack and midfield. When we're playing a back 5, we have to play. Obviously, Thiago Silva was out injured, but we have to play. Last night was Christensen, Christensen, Rudiger, Alonso, Callum Hudson-Odoi, and Azpilicueta. You look at those players and think, right, Christensen is nowhere near as good as a footballer as maybe Pulisic or Ziyech or one of the more advanced attacking players. And I feel like if you play a back 5 at Chelsea, obviously back fives work for other teams if you aren't blessed with players going further up the pitch. At Chelsea, we have so many good players up the pitch. we can afford to play a back four with Chilwell and Zuma and Thiago Silva and Reece James, and play a back four, but then play a 3 in the midfield with Kante and Mount, and then allow for a winger out there. But I think playing a back 5 is, I think at the minute, if it's working, why would you change it? The old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Ain't broke, don't fix it.
So why would we change?
But
I think it's tough to say about Tuchel right now because
what were your thoughts on Werner's bicycle kick last night? That was a good goal.
It's funny because Werner is what I call a highlight player, and by that I mean if you look at half an hour of the game, at all the good bits, you think, right, this guy is a world class player. The amount of times he loses the ball stupidly and gets tackled way too easily, it's just
no one's
but the thing is, but then arguably you can go and say, yeah, he's not an entertainer. Just if he gets the goal and the assist, who cares? I care because in our system it's fluid passing and stuff like that, and he doesn't bring that. But I think certainly Pulisic, obviously probably the best player at the last season post first lockdown. Having a tough season so far, tough season.
Yeah.
Ziyech came in from Ajax, huge expectations. We all watched him. And,
what are your thoughts on that situation? Apparently he's unhappy.
We all watched him at Ajax.
Do you think it's a situation? Do you think it's a situation where he has to grow into the Prem, or do you think he's just not getting an opportunity?
Would you send him out on loan?
When I use the word
on loan, Ziyech.
Yeah.
Statement.
Yeah. I mean, he's. I think for the benefit of his career,
I think it's tough.
He might actually want to move somewhere because he's not getting a look in right now.
I think it's tough
because
when we're looking at Ziyech, we all know what he can do. But when I've watched him so far in the Prem, he's had a tough start.
Yeah.
I don't know whether he'll be a great. Even though Havertz had a tough start, I still believe in Havertz's patience.
You're sort of growing into it.
I believe in Havertz.
Yeah.
I do. I promise you.
I think it's sad. I think it's sad for these players.
It's so difficult.
It's so difficult.
It's so difficult.
Because you got players like
so difficult.
Havertz, who was like 2 years ago one of the best players in Germany.
It's so difficult.
And he's now sitting on the bench at
double
Chelsea.
figures, goals and assists.
Probably the best player at Ajax. And one of the best players in the Champions League 2 years ago. He's sat at the bench at Chelsea. It's a situation where it's not like a selection headache. It's just like a selection coronavirus. It's mental.
There's too much.
We have too many players.
Yeah, you have too many players.
Exactly.
Because unfortunately, and Frank's method was bringing the young players through and build the future. And unfortunately, it gets to the point where the future is better than the actual players we have at the club.
Yeah.
The best 5 players at our club are Mason Mount, Hudson-Odoi, Reece James. At the minute, obviously, Thiago Silva's been great for us, so I can't say a bad word about him.
I think the future's looking really good though, but you're now at a stage
where... It's too good. You've brought in way too many players.
You're now at a stage where you've got a young... now with Tuchel, Hudson-Odoi's getting a lot of game time. You've got a really good looking... You've got some really good players, and so like Ziyech,
it's a really weird situation.
We're not getting a chance. So
it's a really weird situation at Chelsea at the moment. I think it's a difficult one for Tuchel as well. I feel kind of bad for him. He's kind of been thrown into this situation where he has to make a decision, and he has to think about what. But you think about it. You've got what? How many is it? Was it 13 off your last 15?
Yeah.
You can't complain. You can't complain.
Exactly. That's the issue because if it ain't broke, then don't fix it. But listen.
Fed's going to be unhappy.
But there's
if we're looking at next year, Fed, next year we have currently on loan Loftus-Cheek at Fulham, Malang Sarr at Porto, Conor Gallagher at West Brom.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Malang Sarr at Porto.
I think it's gonna be a situation where you're gonna have to get rid of a lot of dead wood.
And Gilmore's coming through, and so is Andrew.
Is it dead wood?
Is it
dead wood? Is it like Arsenal Socrates? That's what I like to count as dead wood.
We had dead wood with Frank, but now these have been re-established players. Alonso, he's starting for us now. Why is this happening? He had to go when he was bad, and that was a good reason. The thing is, Alonso now can't leave Chelsea because he is currently our first team left back.
I think Emerson's got to go.
Emerson is dead wood at the minute. Even though I like Emerson, I think he's a very average good player.
I think he's a good player. Actually a good player.
It's so difficult because we know
Andreas Christensen.
Once we bring our 3-4 players back on loan, also we have Armando Broja who's at Vitesse on loan. So many players that next year will bring back from that. And we've forgotten Tomori at AC Milan.
Yeah, Tomori.
That's 5 players who should be playing first team football week in, week out.
Yeah, I know. It's
also you get into a position where you might be paying these guys too much. You might be like, well, these contracts aren't realistic for these players who aren't playing and who aren't playing as standards.
It's so tough.
It's a really tough situation
I think we'll get more onto it next time.
Yeah,
Chelsea has been, Chelsea, Arsenal, everyone. But we also, as well as Premier League, I know we may have bored you with all that Premier League discussion, but we did make we put together around 3 more things to talk about. We have a you might want to get into Rangers next time. I think in terms of our timing, just because obviously Rangers is a big topic to talk about. With the Premier League Team of the Week that we made about this weekend, we'll keep it short. So why don't you go through the defense and then just
for our Premier League Team of the Week. In last game week, we've gone for in goal Edison, a really positive performance.
Assist.
Assist as well. What a long ball that was, by the way.
Put Davinson Sanchez centre right back to Colombia, honestly.
My gosh, he fell flat on his
face. Lowton, brilliant volley against Palace.
Matthew Lowton,
right back
for Burnley, really good volley he scored.
2 CBs.
2 centre backs have gone for Johnny Evans and John Stones.
2 Johns.
2 Johns, yeah.
King John II.
Yeah, there you go.
Again, no goals. Evans used his experience so well.
But just a solid performance.
And it's so weird. It kind of just came from the dead. Evans.
Yeah.
No, but so did John Stones. John Stones.
John Stones.
A donkey.
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
A donkey. The mistakes he was making were just. I felt like 2 years ago I was better than John Stones.
Maybe it's a situation
He is now the first team for me on Gareth Southgate's team sheet in the Euros.
Yeah,
he's the first player.
I think maybe it was a situation he saw Ake and Ruben Diaz come in and City spending that
much. Take some time away from the game and grow.
Yeah, he must have.
This is what players you look at John Stones, a prime example of being so average, spending some time away from the game, coming back, and he is the best version of himself. His stats are unreal.
He must have looked at himself and said, okay, I've got to change up now and start putting up some performances. And
at left back we went really well. At left back we went for Pereira, got put in. He is a right back, got put in as left back for Leicester. Really solid performance. Our 3 centre mid, Ndidi. Honestly, when he got home on Saturday afternoon, he opened his pockets. He found his keys, his wallet, and Thiago. Because he completely pocketed in that whole game.
Mateo Kovacic
ran the show against Chelsea. I looked at Sky Sports ratings. By the way, I don't know if you saw this. Man got an 8. And Kovacic got a 7. I don't know how that happened. I don't know.
Kovacic,
he should be fired. He's a cheat.
If I'm looking so far at Kovacic's reign at Chelsea, he was on loan for the first season in 18-19. I bought his shirt, really hoping he'd be a good player. I watched him and he was very hit and miss. Looked a bit off the pace. Stopping balls, couldn't shoot. Then fast forward to next year, to last year, our player of the season. Week in, week out, the first name on the team sheet. Running up and down, his passing, his dribbling, it's just everything about his play style was superb. He deserved it. And unfortunately, at the very start of this season, I refer to him being as unfit and overweight. Because he looked like he lost the eye of pace, his passing was so sloppy. I remember.
I call him quite a. I know how you say that, but I'd call him, especially last season. He was your player of the season. Right?
Yeah, I think
he's really just continuing that form again. I think he's so.
He wasn't at the start though.
I think he's a really underrated footballer.
So underrated criminally, but for the first 4 months of the season, he wasn't. However, the minute Frank got sacked, the Wolves game, he had his best game so far this year, and then on to Burnley, magic, Sheffield, magic. If you watched how he played last night,
do you think maybe?
I've got a stat for you from last night. Ready?
Do you think maybe that? Do you think maybe when you're talking about how Lampard was losing some of the players in the dressing room, you think Kovacic was one of them before he got sacked?
It's tough to say. Listen, his stat from last night being Newcastle. Out of 91 passes, 87 were accurate.
Yeah, that's
he had 108 touches, the most. 11 duels won, the most. He had 9 final third entries, the most. He had 8 take-ons, the most, 6 ball recoveries, the most, 4 penalty areas entries, 3 tackles, 2 chances created, and 2 shots.
And yet Varner got man in the match.
Yeah, but that's because it's just confidence in his stats. But
well, Kovacic really well done, and obviously, not surprising, Gundogan yet again.
We talked about him.
Gundogan, brilliant player. Honestly, he
coming into his own.
He's an inspiration to so many.
Anyway.
Wing is the old Ali man.
Talked about him really looking like a really good player.
So underrated. People put in Greenwood and Saka and Foden and Mount. Although
Where's
they're
he
very
in
good
the
players.
conversation?
Barnes should be up there. He really should. And Show.
Maybe he's a left field shout for the Euro squad.
We've gone up front. We've got Maja. It's kind of a hard one with the strikers, but 2 goals away at Goodison Park, can't really fault
Off the bench
that.
as well.
Off the bench. Off the bloody bench.
And then Aubameyang,
obviously.
obviously. Not much to say about
him. Brilliant.
Anyway, we're going to touch on something.
Premier League has been done, guys. I know we've really wasted time on that one.
Anyway,
Serie A.
Okay, no, wait.
Serie A.
We'll touch on Serie A.
Me and my good friend Fed here are big and Jamie, sorry, big AC Milan fans. I don't know if you can tell the camera, but we've got an Ibrahimovic shirt right over there.
Anyway, we're going off on a tangent.
We're going off on a tangent.
13 actually.
Anyway, we're going to talk a little bit on the Serie A. Obviously, Napoli v Juventus, 1-0 to Napoli.
I didn't watch that game, Fed.
What?
Did you, Jamie?
I did actually, yeah.
That is
I didn't expect you to say that. It's fine. Fed, you are the Italian.
Listen,
Go ahead.
that is
Serie A.
incredible. That's an incredible result for Napoli.
Penalty,
I think so.
Penalty.
Yeah, it was
That was unlucky
because
Insigne and Pens v Juventus normally don't go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Even
well, anyway, huge 3 points for Napoli, and that's a huge loss for Juventus. Actually, they've been struggling this season. They've looked a really good team at times, but right now they've picked up some important points. Obviously, they beat us, but they lost to Napoli, and that's going to be a real drop for them in their title charge, and they get.
I think it is.
And that's going to be they're going to look back on that if they don't win the league, which is not looking very likely right now, actually, to be honest. And they'll say, well, we could have beat that. We could have beat a Napoli side, and after all, it was a penalty.
Talking about a team where you're going to reflect and be like, we should have beat them. AC Milan went and lost against Spurs.
Wow. I have a lot to say on that game, and my lord.
This is your cup of tea, so we'll leave it to you. But all I want to say about this one is that I was thinking towards this. Milan are top of the table, not by the distance that Liverpool were last season, but all that was running through my head when I was looking at that Spezia game, I was like, Watford last season at Liverpool. Brilliant run, lose away at Watford.
And then Ismail Assar came in.
Jamie's got to go do something now.
Crashing down.
So me and Fed are going to take over here for a little bit.
What I was going to say was that game is they look the much better side, and for that game we've sort of got to drill that into our heads that that's a must-win game for Milan, and if we want to win the title, we've got to win those small games, and that's what we've actually struggled to do.
Yeah, it's been interesting, hasn't it? Because we have the chance to. It's a win because for you to win a league, you have to win the small games. I always say you have to win the small games, but then you can make up for it with the big games. And who do we have on Sunday?
We've got Inter, who beat
Latzio.
Yeah.
They have an incredible squad, and at the moment I'm not very optimistic because they have players like Lukaku,
Lautaro Martinez, Nicolo Barella, Bastoni.
There you go.
What a player he is.
And
Ashraf
as
Hakimi,
Milan fans, we have to admit
really
it, don't we? So I think what we have to say at the moment is, in a way, Inter on Sunday is kind of perfect. It's a chance to bounce back.
It's a chance to bounce back.
We would have maybe rather had a smaller team in front of it, but the thing is that if we win that game, we're back top.
We're back top.
So, and I know that Pioli is a manager who can get behind the lads.
He definitely can, and he's really shown that throughout the season. But I feel like we're gonna look back on that and say, okay, even we're gonna look back on that and say Spezia, a team that got promoted to the from the Serie A B from the playoffs last season. They weren't even top. very mediocre side. They haven't really got many standout players, but they really wanted it that game, and we didn't. And as I said, we're gonna look back on that and say, wow, we should have won that game. Again, we dropped points against Verona, we dropped points against Genoa, we got two draws there.
I think especially a month like March or February, it's not really about reflecting, it's kind of about looking forward. And I think that's what Pioli wants to install into the team. He wants to be like, guys, let's take our minds off Spezia. You know, that's like an anomaly. You look at the season, it's an anomaly.
Yeah, it's an anomaly. Definitely.
And we've got to bounce back. We've got to bounce back, and even if we lose to Inter, there's still a chance.
I would have to agree with you there.
There's still a chance,
definitely.
and I back the boys, and I always back the boys. You
know?
No,
me too.
It's been so weird because you look at teams and you go, you know, where did we finish last season? Like 7th-ish? Europa League?
Finished,
7th? Okay, so you think about 7th, right? We've gone from 7th to 1st. Some teams go 7th, 5th, 3rd, 1st. We went 7th to 1st. It's been a bit of a shock. A good shock, but it's been a shock.
It's been a really good season. If you look at it overall, and considering that we were a sort of mediocre team last season, we didn't really have any standout players. Obviously, Theo Hernandez and Ibrahimovic were brilliant players for us last season.
I'd let him
babysit
my kids.
But that post-lockdown bounce that we had was just incredible, and since then it's been really good. But then we got to talk about the Spezia loss.
We don't. What do you think?
Well, listen.
We won 4-0 the week before. What happened?
I don't know. I feel like we got a bit too complacent.
Jamie has done a bit of an Eric Dyer. Jason Buncham, it does sound like he's
You might have. Yeah. Anyway.
Eric Dyer, where have you gone?
Just to
give him the man of the match.
Keep going, mate. Though.
Anyway.
Talking about Milan.
What I was going to say is
basically I didn't cancel my tutor and he started calling me. I didn't cancel them.
No.
Rookie error.
Over 2
Anyway,
where are we now?
We got Milan Spezia.
I just want to talk. I wanted to talk about some individual performances and
talking about how
just
the season.
Just a different.
It's 2 yards. 2 yards, Gary.
I'm telling you, that whole game was on Pogba. I'm telling you.
Graham Souness,
yeah.
Anyway, what I wanted to say is that I feel like for the Milan Spezia game, it's really disappointing. But at the end of the day, as I said, they wanted it more, and it comes down to individual performances at the end of the day. All right, Alexis Salamakas, simply not good enough. Simply not good enough for this team. He is not good enough for the Serie A, I don't think. He's been bad for the past 5 games. Alessio Romagnoli.
Send him out on loan.
I think we should send Salamakas out of loan.
Sell him, I think he's shocking.
Yeah, or even sell him. I think that would be better. But anyway, I wanted. Yeah, exactly. Literally, no one wants to. And then I'm going to talk about our club captain, Alessio Romagnoli. And this is really embarrassing that I have to talk. It's embarrassing that I have to talk about a club captain.
Xhaka.
Yeah.
Last season. Xhaka's been class this season.
It's embarrassing that I have to talk about a club captain in this way because he's really been.
Sorry.
He's been really. He had a really. Again, these past 5 games have been really, really bad for him, and it's just not. It was not great. It was not great, and as I said, comes down to individuals. Suali Omete, we brought him in the January transfer window. I think it's on loan with an option to buy.
What do you think?
Looks like a waste of money.
How much do we?
I don't know, but it's a loan with a buy option. I'm not sure the fee, but he couldn't even fit in that Torino side. That's why he wanted out from there. Yeah, he's showed sparks of.
He's got a balloon animal on his head.
We'll get onto that later. He's showed like really good signs at times, but at the end of the day, he's just does not seem like a great player, and I don't think we should consider that buy option in his at the end of the season.
So fair, I've got a question. What and for Jamie, what do you think about, we're second, right now.
We're
It's
second.
February.
And I feel
Do you
like.
think we've clinched Champions League? Do you think we
it's-
have?
Oh yeah.
Do you think we have the stamina
It's
to go
highly
get
probable.
to go get
if
the
you,
Scudetto?
if you look at the actually with the Scudetto,
Because the objectives before the season
were
get
Champions League.
League football.
Okay, and I think that should happen, right?
Should happen.
I think you guys would agree with that as well. But Scudetto, we've got to throw. If we want it, this game on Sunday is going to mean everything. If we want it, we've got to throw everything at that game.
Yep.
And
Yeah. So
yeah, I feel like actually for that game we should drop Romagnoli. We should bring Tamori into
Tamori
that.
has to start.
Tamori
has to start.
Tamori's got to start, I think, with Kjaya. At the back.
Before we jump into the last bit of the Champions League, Jamie, what do you have to say on Serie A?
You know, I think right now, when I look at this Milan team, I don't believe. First of all, I think they'll make it still, but I don't think they're ready enough to go far
Yeah.
in the Champions League yet.
You know what?
But also,
Can
I don't look at the squad and think, I can't name you more than 3 world-class players, and I don't believe their squad is better than Inter or Juventus or Atalanta.
You know
Or
what?
Napoli, yeah, it's
If
honestly
you were to
Persona.
say to me at the start of this season, if you were to say to me at the start of this season, we're gonna get Champions League,
You would take it,
I would, to be honest,
I'd slap you.
I would have been really happy with that.
If you
So
said
the
to me,
position we're in right now, I'm extremely happy with it. But now I think all focus has to go onto that Inter game, and that's gonna be the deciding factor, to be honest. If we want to win the Scudetto, we have to throw everything at that Inter game. And yeah, as I said, I dropped Romagnoli, play Kjaya and Tamori at the back, and I'm going to look at the camera for this, I definitely dropped Salamanca's. I think you have no right to be in this team.
Justice for
On
Salamanca.
behalf
Thanks for the
of Milan.
memories.
as a Milan fan,
But it's
but
time to say goodbye.
it's time to say goodbye. I think we should send him out on loan. Just get rid of him.
Alright, well, that's the Serie A covered.
And also, Romagnoli.
There you go.
I would love to sell you, but I know your contract is as big as who God knows. But so no one wants to buy you because of your performances. So please fix up, mate. Please, please.
Well,
Okay. Anyway, up the Milan, Forza Milan.
Forza Milan. So
Let's go out.
On to
Can I
the
just say,
Champions League
there's
predictions.
nothing on the laptop. We literally, you keep staring at it. There's nothing on the computer.
No, there is. There actually is.
I mean, there is,
Cheeky
I mean-
sneak peek.
Oh, turn that tab off. Wait. Just next thing.
Oh my god.
Right, tonight, boys, big games tonight. Liverpool
Champions
v
League.
Leipzig and
Yeah.
Man U v PSG.
Barca
Neymar
v PSG.
No Neymar,
That's
sorry.
brilliant. That's brilliant.
Neymar v
No
PSG.
Neymar. What are your thoughts on that situation? A lot of people are saying.
Well, I think on the picture, that's the best.
Actually.
Okay,
What are your thoughts on that situation? Considering that a lot of people have said that he's actually
Big conspiracy
faking it.
theory.
Yeah, the big conspiracy.
No, Neymar released a statement last week saying he does not know what to do anymore because he gets injured so often. And the thing is, often, I'm sure any footballer will know about this. When a coach knows a good player, like okay, let's say Sam, my team's playing your team, I'm the coach, I'm the best player on the pitch, and you are the best player on the pitch.
Ooh.
I will go and tell my centre back to hit you hard early doors. Unfortunately, with Neymar, every single manager would tell him to go and do that. But unfortunately, that gets him injured. And he said that, and to the point where now, I feel like I don't want to lose him as a career. Because I think he could be a legend of the game. He should never have left Barca, but that's just another story for another day, another podcast.
Yeah.
But I just think...
Boys, Champions League, we're back. Jamie, I'm sorry to cut you off there. We want to apologise.
Okay, we'll put our predictions.
So predictions.
Liverpool, Leipzig.
I'm just gonna kind of go all four games for
Yeah,
Tuesday
fine,
and Wednesday.
yeah.
I think that's what we're just gonna
Yeah.
do as quick as possible. I think.
Starting up with
What was it? What we
Liverpool, Leipzig. We'll start.
Liverpool, and it's interesting because no fans.
Neutral
we're in a
location as well.
location, so
Hungry, yeah.
I think I've seen Leipzig play Spurs last season, tear them to shreds. Played Man United
Away.
and
5-0.
yeah, then beat them at home. I think it's interesting. I think they have a lot of players. I think their tactics are brilliant, and I think Liverpool are on the slant. But I think Liverpool can do something. I have the belief that Liverpool are going to turn up tonight, and I think my prediction is I think it's going to be 2-2 tonight.
Wow.
I know, 2-2.
2-2.
Fed. Oh no, sorry. I'll go through all of them. I think Barcelona, PSG, massive game. Me and Jamie did experience about 4 seasons ago. Probably the greatest comeback.
And Roberto!
Oh,
Crazy,
goal.
by the way.
PSG, by the way, lads, get this shirt coming soon. Not mine.
It's a nice shirt. by the
Really
way.
good shirt. I think without Neymar, I think it's going to be weird because I think PSG are playing really well. They've got Mbappe, obviously. They've got other players. They've got really other really good players. And I think Barca are, they're alright. They do obviously have Messi and other really good players like Trincao and Pedri, who
Off the bench
really
as
step
well.
up
Yeah.
as well. And
Pedri, what player
players
is?
like that. So tonight, I reckon we're going to get goals. We've got 2 attacking teams.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be 3-2 to Barcelona.
Wow.
I think
Okay.
3-2. I
Do
think.
you want to move on to?
Yeah, I'll just do Tuesday for tonight.
Okay.
Fed, what do you
Well, for the Leipzig Liverpool game, I think Liverpool, this is their chance to just fully come back, break this run of form, and it will be tough for them.
Yeah.
And they know that. They know that coming into this game. Got a good Leipzig side with a really young sort of spine
Tyler
in their
Adams, by the
team.
way.
Yeah,
Great player.
great player.
USA. Bro.
So for this game, I'm gonna go for a Liverpool win. I'm gonna go 2-1. 2-1 to Liverpool.
Wow.
It's big, but I think this is the game where they can just come back
Barca?
all firing. Barca PSG, right? Obviously, no Neymar. I think that for me is essentially the difference maker, and so for that reason, I'm gonna go for a Barca win. I would say I'll go 2-0. 2-0.
Clean sheet.
Clean sheet.
I think I agree with both your points on Liverpool, because I think this is really the time where they have to look at themselves and think, right, there's only one way from here, and that's up.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What do they have to lose?
I went to Leipzig a few times this year. Exactly. No, they got to lose. I think, honestly, I think Liverpool are going to win 4-1.
Tonight.
Yeah, I do.
4-1.
I think it's going to be
Who's
just.
the sign up there?
Who's getting the goals?
I mean, it's going to be Kabak.
Yeah.
no, it's going to be Salah. He's just going to run riot, and I think
Yeah.
Mane will score 1. It'll be 2 Salah, 1 Mane, 1 Firmino, and then it'll
Firmino's
be.
starting to find his form again.
And it'll be Yusuf Paulson will
Yusuf
score.
Paulson, yeah.
And then I think
Barca.
in the Barca game, I think it's going to be very. Because the thing is, if I'm comparing it to the Juve game Barca faced earlier in the campaign,
Yeah.
it's tough to decide. Because they were out Ronaldo for the first game and the second, and I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw.
A 1-1 draw.
That's big.
Alright, well that's our predictions and
For the Tuesday games, we'll come back
Tomorrow.
I think
we'll
tomorrow
cover it tomorrow.
for the Wednesday
For the
games
Wednesday
that we'll
matches.
touch on.
That was our first podcast as a group. Hope you all
Well played, boys.
enjoyed it.
That was
Obviously
quality.
we
Yeah,
are
really nice.
we are new to it, so
Yeah.
sorry if Jamie does get kind of stage fright.
Carried away.
Well, we all do, don't we? We
Yeah.
all have those laughing stages, but we hope you all
Definitely.
enjoyed it. We did put in a lot of effort to make it possible.
Yeah, it
just
was
like
actually
Chris
really.
Barkley video.
Yeah, there you go.
um,
Really enjoyable to talk
to
about.
catch up about
just-
all the football. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been a really entertaining season, and we'll keep everyone updated. I think we can only get better from here. I think first try, but
the only way is
yeah,
up.
don't.
And once again, may I say this content and channel is all for you. So please let us down in the comments
Let us know.
what you want to know, and
What
tell
you
us
want.
about any questions you want to know, any topics you want us to talk about.
Yeah, if
Well,
you-
I mean, we're very open.
Honestly,
We
we
know
know all about the
our
Antarctic
knowledge,
League,
yeah,
the
it's
Algerian
down.
League.
Yeah, honestly,
we'll,
Fan knows a lot about the Indian League, so you can
Um,
ask me about Scotland, West Poland, whatever you want to do, mate.
Right, boys, well-
And sign off.
we'll put our
What's that?
See you when you're under.
Instagrams, our social medias, all of
Yeah,
that.
follow us
in-
again. That'll be all down in the description.
Instagram,
bio,
we've got
the bio.
TikTok, we've got YouTube,
Yeah.
everything. So yeah,
We'll post.
Thank you guys for watching. We hope
thumbs
you
up,
enjoyed it.
Tiago.
Thanks up, Thiago.
Love you
Hey,
guys.
See you guys.
when you're older.
By the way, guys, we will be putting some short clips on our social media, so stay tuned for that if you can't watch the whole thing, which is understandable.
Very
Yeah.
understandable.
But anyway, guys, we'll be signing off for now. Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Have a good one, boys.
Support.
Cheers, guys.